Hello guys, today I have a very special guest in the channel, Dirk Hartig from PrimeXBT Academy. Dirk has more than 20 years of trading experience. He's going to share with us some ideas and strategies in the video today. You guys cannot afford to miss it. Hello Dirk, thank you so much for coming to the channel today. It's a pleasure to have you here. Let's talk about the market and crypto in general.
Hey guys, how are you? Thanks for having me today. Pleasure to be here with you.
Cool. Dirk, just before we start, I would like to maybe you to introduce yourself, talk about your trading experience. I've seen that you've been trading for more than 20 years, also for institutional investors, maybe big whales. Maybe you can talk about your trading experience in general and about yourself.
Yeah, sure. My name is Dirk Hartig. I'm what probably a lot of people out there would call a professional trader. So I've been doing this for 20 years. I mainly focus on trading currency options and since 2017, cryptocurrencies. I use different time frames, different trading strategies. So from everything from day trading to really long-term trades, the typical hodling, maybe you would call it, when talking about cryptocurrencies. I'm doing everything there. And since May this year, I am also the head of trading education here at PrimeXBT. So we're building up an education platform here, to use modern technologies, use YouTube and so on and so forth to provide something for trading beginners where they can come to kind of avoid all the traps and mistakes you tend to make as a trading beginner. So basically, people do not have to stumble on all those traps and lose their money like I hit. I still had to learn it the hard way. But back then when I started, there was no YouTube yet.
No, very cool. Guys, for those who don't know, PrimeXBT has a channel here. I'm going to show you my screen with you guys. You can check out PrimeXBT Trading Academy. Just go down here to the link in the description. I'm going to leave all the links to everything we're talking about in this video today. Just go down here and make sure you follow PrimeXBT Academy, guys. So there's very cool content. You see, I'm watching all the videos. I'm learning a lot from here with Dirk, so for sure you guys going to learn a lot as well, and you can add subtitles. For those who speak Portuguese, you can add subtitles as well. So Dirk has a lot of experience. For sure you're going to learn a lot. So this PrimeXBT channel is basically the PrimeXBT project to educate people, to show them how to surf the waves of the market. So this is the idea, and I really like what the guys are doing here, and hopefully this channel is going to grow a lot, right, Dirk?
Yeah, I hope so too. I was surprised like how much interest there is after such a short time already, and I always have an open ear to really address those questions, especially trading beginners have, because trading can be really rewarding. When you have like a series of good trades, but it also can be very frustrating. So when you have had a bad day or maybe 2 or 3 bad days in a row where nothing works out, you tend to go home frustrated, and it's always good to have a place where you can go somewhere where you can share your experience, where you see, hey, I'm not the only one. This is like part of the game. This is totally normal. I should not doubt myself.
Yeah, that's so cool. Actually, this is something I'd like to talk more about that, because you have a lot of experience. So can you maybe share with us some tips for traders, especially beginners? Maybe what are the common pitfalls people fall into, or maybe mistakes they make? Maybe it will be very interesting to talk about that.
Yeah, sure. I mean, of course, when we talk about trading, we have to talk about mistakes. And I think the most common, or let's say the most 2 common mistakes trading beginners make is, first of all, being over emotionally. So attaching yourself emotionally to your position. And everybody who has been trading knows that already. Yeah? When a position goes against you, as a beginner, you tend to not cut your losses. You tend to hope it's going into my direction again. Maybe I'm going to add to the position, to bring my average price up or down, depending on what direction I'm trading at the moment. So bringing the average price into my favor, and hoping. And weirdly enough, sometimes that works out. But if you look at a series of 1,000 trades, this is always a strategy to follow if you want to crash your account eventually. So, and it's very normal and natural for us human beings that we don't like to make mistakes. Not because of how we appear to others if we make a mistake, but it's very hard to admit to yourself, okay, I was wrong about this position. I should cut my losses. And you can approach this really by having what I like to call a game plan always. Before you enter a trade, ask yourself, why am I entering the trade? And it can be a number of reasons. It can be technical indicators, something fundamental, sentiment, or a mixture of those. But you need to have a reason why you're entering trade. You should set a take profit target where you want to exit the trade again, and even more importantly, you have to decide for yourself, when am I going to exit this trade if it goes against me. So this is really, really important. And then ideally, your take profit target should be at least 2 times farther away than your stop loss. Then you have also the math going into your favor, risk reward ratio. I don't want to do too much math and bore you guys now with this, but just rule of thumb, if you manage to earn 2 times as much as you're risking on a trade, you can be correct, or you only need to be correct 33% of all the time, not to lose money. So you have a scenario that's even better than a coin flip. Then this is very, very favorable for you. So this is the first one. Second one, very shortly, is over leveraging. I know a lot of platforms out there, and PrimeXBT is one of those platforms, of course, too, that offer leverage. For example, for Bitcoin, we offer up to 1 to 100 in leverage. But just because you have this leverage doesn't mean you should always use it on every trade. Because remember, if you have a position out there with 1 to 100 leverage, you're using over leverage, the position just needs to move 1% against you. And then you have crashed your account. Then your money is gone. And I don't think anybody out there is really able to time the market that perfectly that you always know, like, okay, here's the bottom now. It's not going to move 1% further or 2% further. So better be safe than sorry. And especially for the beginning, use a max leverage of maybe 1 to 5 or 1 to 10. It's going to be good for your head, and you will spend your nights actually sleeping and not worrying about your position.
Yeah, that's so important, because people get too emotionally attached to the positions, and then they cannot sleep. The market's again going against you, and you get like so stressed. If this is happening to you, you're doing for sure something wrong, So it's very important. Also, something that I learned from your channel that I can really say to people, that a mistake I was making, I learned from you, Dirk. It's very cool.
Great, yeah. Mission accomplished already. Then.
Yeah. So something I've been doing, like I was going home, or maybe home, and after, like, let's say 6 p.m., 7 p.m., I was stopped. After my trades were positioned, I was keep like checking my phones and trying to, maybe I'll do one more trade, And even my girlfriend complaining, like, Andre, when are you going to stop? You're going to relax, have dinner, enjoy our time together. So this is a mistake I was making, and I'm kind of now trying to, stop with this kind of bad habit. Yeah.
It's super important, That's why I see you watch that video. I was talking in that video about, to separate your trading time from your free time. I do that by having a separate office that is not attached to my home, which I rented, where I go to trade, where I know if I'm in that place, I'm going to concentrate on trading. Once I leave the office, get home, I'm going to concentrate on my family. And of course, I'm also not trying to pick up the phone too often to check prices. That keeps, in the long run, you'll keep your mental sanity by doing that, yes.
Yeah, for sure. Mental sanity is everything, guys, because you can go crazy in these markets for sure. So talking about the market now, Dirk, because we saw like a lot of FUD from China in the past weeks, a lot of bad news, and also had the Evergrande episode. Do you think, how do you see the market at the moment? Do you see maybe there'll be more FUD coming, more manipulation, or now this time is over? Are we gonna ride the waves now, go to $100,000 Bitcoin? What are expectations for the market in the next 3 months?
Well, I'm for sure we are probably in the most exciting months that we've seen in the past 4 years, or since the last cycle high we had in late 2017, because we have a lot of those quite popular models, and some models of I really like too. I'm thinking, for example, of stock to flow by Plan B now, that are projecting that we should see Bitcoin somewhere between 100 and 300,000 US dollars. Altcoins, of course, moving up together with Bitcoin, then also reaching new all-time highs. And this should happen somewhere between December and probably February or March next year. So a lot of those quantitative models are really are being put to the test now. If they are going to succeed, we have a good explanation to describe why Bitcoin is appreciating in value in those cycles. If they don't succeed, well, then we need to come up with something new. However, as a trader, at least if you're trading short term, you don't really care if prices go up or down. But in a situation like this, there will be a lot of volatility on the market. And volatility, at least to a certain extent, is always good. When it comes to FUD, well, I don't think we can really expect anything from China anymore that really can scare the market. I mean, what are they going to do now? They've completely forbidden it, and this time they are serious. So they are saying that at least. What else can they do? This is like when you're at school and your teacher is screaming at you. After this, he doesn't have anything anymore bad that he can do to you. This is as far as you can go. And I mean, of course, we need to be prepared that the next FUD is probably always somewhere around the corner. And usually, those black swan events are called black swan events because nobody can expect from what direction they might be coming. So be prepared for something like this. But what I see at the moment is that the market really seems to be in a very, very good shape. And maybe you can share my screen there very quickly, that I can explain this a little bit. So what you see there up there, this strong resistance zone, I've been talking a bit about this quite a lot on my videos lately. So this is the zone where we had people in March to May, or between March and May, that bought at this areas between 53,700 and 59,000 before we crashed down, that are still sitting on losses. And the way I see at the moment the price action is behaving there actually looks very nice. We didn't bounce immediately off it. And every time we bounce off, we see buying activity again. We can see that very well from the candle, for example, yesterday, where we went quite harsh down to, I think it was 54,000, if I'm not mistaken. Mm-hmm. And then we saw buying activity up again. And this is like activity that is very, very typical for this phase we are in at the moment. And this is, at least from a chart perspective, to add another dimension to those models, something that makes me very, very positive, to be honest, for at least the next month. In December, of course, we need to reevaluate them. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, for me, there's a sign coming now. We can talk about this because people are worried about the altcoins. I see my group people very worried about altcoins because the dominance of Bitcoin is recovering, and we see the altcoins are like underperforming compared to Bitcoin. And do you think this is a sign we're going to see probably a new all-time high for Bitcoin very soon?
I hope so. And I've prepared my trading positions for that as well. So after we had this deleveraging back then from 53,000 down to 40,000, I built up new midterm positions between 48 and 42,000. I have my stop loss there sitting at 52,000 at the moment. Mm-hmm. But this is just for part of my trading position, of course. I'm not putting everything in one trade, as I said. You have to deviate between long-term, mid-term, short-term trading there. Mm-hmm. And to answer your question, I'm pretty positive that we are going to see actually new all-time highs. And I know I'm putting myself out there by saying something like this, but I don't want to stay very vague. However, you also still need to be prepared that the volatility is going to be high. So it's not out of the question that we might be going up and probably will be going up, but that doesn't mean that we are not going to have harsh days where we see corrections to the downside of maybe 5 or 10%. And yesterday we saw that already a little bit, and for me, it's always fascinating on a day like this where you have, and maybe let me zoom in there a little bit so you guys can see that better. Hold on. Oh, no, this one I didn't want to move. So I'm talking about this candle here. So what you usually see then on social media, very quickly, so on Twitter, on Reddit, and so on and so forth, is that the sentiment immediately flips to the opposite. Suddenly, everybody's becoming bearish again, just with a little move like this. And we saw this morning also in the fear and greed index, which was yesterday at 78. So extreme greed, which is always an area where at least some of my alarm bells already start ringing. And then it dropped down to 70 again. The market is very, very sensible at the moment, sentiment-wise, and the situation can change from everybody's euphoric to everybody's depressed and fearful, really with a blink of an eye. It just needs like 3 or 4% of move in Bitcoin at the moment. Yeah, talking about altcoins, and sorry, I deviated a bit from your question there. Very typical. This is also what we saw in 2017 in the last month, that Bitcoin dominance was rising again. And then if history repeats itself, we are going to see a great reset again. Many of those altcoin projects probably are going to die. I'm sorry to say so, but it's going to be like this. If you compare 4 years ago, which altcoins did we have in the top 20 or top 30, where many of those either haven't moved at all or have completely disappeared. I'm not going to call out names there now. So be prepared for this. Nonetheless, you'll also see, of course, altcoin projects that are going to survive. Something like Cardano that really, has a utility, has a use there, has great technology. I think they are going to be around in 4 years still.
Yeah, something people need to understand this market is, it took me a long time actually to understand, and I suffered a lot back in 2018, is don't treat altcoins as a long-term investment, because we see many of the altcoins back in 2017, 18, they had a lot of hype. And now if you see 2021, these altcoins, sometimes they're not even there anymore. And so there was a mistake. And I see a lot of people getting really attached to one altcoin, or this altcoin is going to do super well because I like the team, and get really attached to one project. And they forget about Bitcoin, which is for me the only coin, and in the end, in this crypto market, that matters. I'm not like 100% Bitcoin maximalist, but you see, in the end, people want to accumulate more Bitcoin. And I tell my group in my community, I use the altcoins just to accumulate more Bitcoin. I don't trade, I don't hold altcoins long term. And I probably, at the end of this bull market, my plan is to get rid of the most of the altcoins. I'm going to get rid of all of them, because we see in the bear market they lose like more than 9% value. So there's no
absolutely, absolutely, and a good example that you gave for what I was saying earlier about being emotionally attached to a position. I see that a lot. I've been there too. When I started with crypto, I was emotionally attached because I was looking when doing my first steps there for the next Bitcoin. Well, but there is no next Bitcoin. What we need to understand is really something that is called the network effect. The hashing power, the network power of especially Bitcoin, and to some extent, of course, also of Ethereum, is light years ahead of what any other altcoin out there can do. Just look at the consensus proof of work. So the consensus algorithm, hashing algorithm Bitcoin is using. If you compare the next coin out there, I think it must be Bitcoin Cash in terms of networking power. Bitcoin is like 100 times, the Bitcoin network is 100 times stronger than the Bitcoin Cash network. And this is like when you found a company, and I found a company and I approach you, for example, saying like, hey, I just invented the next Facebook, give me your money. You're probably going to say like, okay, could maybe work out, maybe I'll give you a little bit because I think you're a smart guy and you have a good team. But by the end of the day, you have to do a reality check. It's like, okay, can Dirk really found the new Facebook? Can he do something better than Facebook? Can he compete with a company that has like hundreds of millions of dollars lying around in cash that they could use, to advance even farther than any small startup project? So this is like, when you have an altcoin and you want to do something better than Bitcoin or Ethereum. So that's why I have like 85% of my long-term positioning in Bitcoin, to some extent also Ethereum, and just small percentages, of course, I put in altcoin as well, to be lucky sometimes and have those gainers of 1,000 or 2,000%.
Yeah, just a question that I had in my head now. So, what would you say? Would you say to people that now they are like stuck in an altcoin, that they are like having a loss and they don't want to trade against Bitcoin? They want to like they're afraid to cut their losses. Do you think they should basically just try to realize, okay, the loss is there, maybe move to Bitcoin soon because the dominance is going higher? So maybe we can talk about
Yeah,
that.
I mean, if you have like all of your saving in this altcoin, for sure, I at least would take some of my losses and put this in Bitcoin, and maybe then just not look at the market for a very long time until things have recovered a little bit. And yeah, basically, this is what I also did beginning of this year. I still had some altcoins that I was holding on for 4 years, and eventually I said, you know, whatever. I'm just going to cut my losses now. I'm going to put everything in Bitcoin, which was like the wisest decision I could make. I did this last year, and since then, well, I mean, Bitcoin hasn't gone up by 6 times already. So eventually, everything like comes down again when the market returns to normality to Bitcoin and Ethereum. And yeah, there is a time, like you just said, where you just need to get out. But it's another great example of, again, before you enter a position, you should have this game plan. What if this altcoin doesn't perform like I want? I'm going to cut my losses at, I don't know, like 30, 40 or 50% or whatever you are comfortable with, and then either take out cash or move it to Bitcoin, preferably the second one, in my opinion.
Perfect. Yeah, just to share with you guys, by the way, if you want to share the volatility in the market, PrimeXBT now listed Solana, Cardano, Uniswap, Polkadot, and other popular assets like Dodge. There's also I think XRP. So many coins now, for sure, they're going to underperform against Bitcoin. So if you are an experienced trader, if you know how to do leverage, this is just for an experienced trader. You can trade all these altcoins against Bitcoin on PrimeXBT. This is brand new. This is quite new, actually. There's news here. And also, if you don't trade, if you don't actually, if you want to join the market, you don't have experience trading, PrimeXBT also has the co-vesting program, which you can basically copy traders with experience. Of course, this is not 100% guarantee you're going to make money. There's like a lot of risk involved into this, but you can copy traders that are doing well in the market. And there's also this news here from Yahoo Finance, for example, like top ranked co-vesting strategy manager makes followers more than $1 million in 2 months. This was it's actually, this news from like a couple of days or something, or hours.
Yeah, and this one, but things have even gotten better since then. So there's one guy who's up 90,000%.
Yeah, it's
at the
crazy.
moment.
So if you guys want to take advantage of the volatility of the market, if you don't have experience trading, I'm also going to leave the link here to PrimeXBT. So we get 50% deposit bonus for trading. Of course, for co-vesting, it doesn't count, I think, the bonus, but you can follow some traders. There's so many traders you can follow. And also, by the way, there's also a new program now, co-vesting yield accounts. You can basically leave your crypto on PrimeXBT, and you can have yield against your crypto. So it's a very good way to earn passive income as well. So there are many new things coming for PrimeXBT, and I'll leave all the links for this news and information down here in the description. Okay. So everything looks amazing. I really like what we're talking about here. So maybe you can talk about more about the strategies and do more TA. I think this is people who actually want us to do. I know. I think maybe we can share with us some of your strategies. What kind of strategies you do when you're trading? Like what kind of maybe you can share with us some simple strategy that you do, any trader can do, and try to repeat. This. Maybe you can show something to my audience.
Sure. So I think first of all, the simplest strategy you can always follow when you start trading is hodling. This is very easy, and just buy some Bitcoin and hold on to it as long as you can. Maybe if you don't want to put in a lump sum, you DCA, dollar cost averaging, put in a little bit every month. Only as much as you can, of course, afford to lose. But this is, like, in general, the truth about anything when it comes to investing. I think when we talk about trading, really, a very, very simple strategy to start with is always one that doesn't eat up so much of your time. And I just want to quickly go here on Twitter for you to show you something. Hold on. Twitter, here we go. So there is something on Twitter called the Fear and Greed Index, Bitcoin Fear and Greed Index. And this measures the sentiment of the market. So basically, are market participants at the moment expecting more upside from Bitcoin or cryptocurrencies in general, or more downside? And when you, for example, see this in the green area at the moment, then you should try to just concentrate on long positions, because you don't want to go against the trend, you don't want to go against the sentiment. And normally, and you can see really in the last 2-3 weeks how well this would have worked, since the sentiment flipped from negative, from fear again to greed. So this is really, really simple, and this is also something you can do if you are somebody that has to work for his or her money, meaning you probably have a job from 9 to 5, or maybe even longer, that you have to attend to every day. So, log in the morning into your trading account, have a look at what is the current fear or greed index. Then maybe you make out like, okay, if the fear and greed index is positive at the moment, where would be a good area to enter the market? Place your limit order there, place your stop loss, place your take profit. Then you can close your laptop or shut down your app and go to work. And when you come home at night, you'll see how your trade worked out. And this is really something that works out very well, very, very well. So there's not much mystery to trading, as long as you try to stick with a trend. And of course, it doesn't always work like this. It's not that easy. But remember, if your target is 2 times as far away as your stop loss, you only need to be correct with this 33% of the time, and you will not lose money. And not losing money is always the first thing you need to accomplish when starting to trade. So this is really, really simple. Another very simple thing, in my opinion, is when you see... let me zoom out here a little bit again for you. So I have 2 Bollinger Bands in here. I think they are probably not so good to see here. So one is currently down here, one is currently up here. And whenever you see the Bollinger Bands contracting, so they are pulling together more and more and get very narrow. So a little bit like what we saw down here. You can be sure you are going to see a quite volatile reaction of the market, either to the upside or to the downside. And you can play situations like this very, very easy if you use stop buy or stop sell orders. So when you see Bollinger Bands are contracting, why not place a stop buy order like 10% over the current price and a stop sell order 10% below the current price? Because if the move comes, it's going to have a lot of momentum, and you're probably going to catch on very fast. Last time I recommended something like this was, by the way, down here, where I said, I think like placing a stop buy order at 48,000 could be a very good strategy at the moment, and it was. And it's really, really easy. Everybody can do that. You don't need to be a rocket scientist to do something like this. So if you just start out with 2 simple strategies like this, it's very hard to not, earn more per year than probably your bank is giving you as interest rate on your account at the moment. Would be very high. I would be surprised. But of course, remember, always use the stop loss. And this is important. So yeah, very simple strategies. Of course, I could go now into some quantitative analysis methods. I use like machine learning for my day trading, but this is a little bit like you want to drive a Formula 1 car before you learn to ride a bicycle. So this is something for the future. And of course, we still need stuff 3 or 4 years down the road that we can teach you.
Yeah, cool. And I've seen that also in your videos. You do use a lot of on-chain and sentiment analysis. Like, maybe you can talk more about these things. Like, because this strong support, for example, this strong support to talk about is based on on-chain data, right?
Yeah. So exactly the zones you see here: strong resistance, light support, solid support, strong support are not because of some lines I drew in the chart there, where I think there's support and resistance. This comes from on-chain metrics. On-chain metrics really, in my opinion, can bring your trading to the next level. This is something you don't have in any other asset class, that you can look into the asset class and really determine where are areas where people bought at the moment, what is the network at the moment doing, how are long-term holders, short-term holders, and so on and so forth behaving at the moment. And you can gain this totally for free from Glassnode once a week. I shared a link, I think, on my video. Maybe you can share a link here later too. And this gives you insight. For example, like I said earlier, this zone, which I called strong resistance up here, was a zone where people that bought between March and May 2021 are still sitting on losses. And what you can expect normally when the market re-enters such a zone, especially after people have been in loss already by 50% or more, when we went down to 30,000, is that they are probably going to sell. So the market is not likely to push through this very, very fast. And like I said earlier, I'm a bit surprised that we look as good in this zone as we do at the moment. So yeah, you can also see another very important metric. For example, how are long-term holders behaving at the moment? And what we see is the vast majority of people buying Bitcoin at the moment are those so-called long-term holders, so that hold on to their coins for a year or longer. This is crazy. We've never been at such a high level as before, which I personally also think is, first of all, a good sign. Second of all, maybe a sign of institutional adoption we are seeing. So a lot of stuff really you can deduct from those on-chain metrics, and I'm always surprised, like the creativity people come up with when it comes to creating new metrics from this, because it's still a very, very young science, so to say.
Yeah, very cool. Actually, in this support zone we talked about, I was also showing in my channel. We seeing the whales buying, accumulating more Bitcoin. So for sure, we many people are saying that we're going back to 20K. But I was seeing the whales doing their moves, and then it's not possible. That with these whales are accumulating Bitcoin. Now they take Bitcoin to 20K. It doesn't make any sense. So for me, it was giving more like, because we do technical analysis, but sometimes there's things we cannot see in the charts. So we have to check, see what's happening on the chain, what the whales are doing. So this is very important. And also Dirk is showing on PrimeXBT Academy content about that. So I highly recommend you guys to follow PrimeXBT as well. Yeah, Dirk. So I don't know. Thank you so much for coming here today. I don't know. I think we pretty much killed it. I think this is very, very, very nice content, and for sure people have to follow your channel. I'm going to leave all the links down below here. Maybe do you have so many maybe other advice or ideas just before we wrap up this episode?
Well, first of all, thanks again for having me. Really was a pleasure. I really hope you guys out there, can learn something like this. Of course, always welcome, to come to our channel and have a look at what we are doing there right now. And my advice for you guys out there might sound a little bit boring, but it's so important, and that is why I always repeat it at the end of my videos. Please, please, please take a stop loss.
Take a stop loss, guys, to be careful in these markets, because volatility is there. You don't want to wake up next day and realize like, oh my God,
Exactly.
Stop losses are there to be used. Okay, Dirk, thanks so much. So guys, I hope you enjoyed the episode today, and hopefully see you guys next time soon. Okay, bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
So I hope you guys enjoyed the chat with Dirk Hartig from PrimeXBT. If you did, don't forget to leave a like, subscribe to the channel, and also follow PrimeXBT Academy. I'm going to leave all the links below here in the description. And I catch you guys next time. Bye-bye.